Hi everybody, my name is TJ Masakona and I am in Johannesburg today in South Africa, all the way in Bruma, which is in the East Rand in Johannesburg. And we're at ATNS today, talking everything ATNS, having to do with planes, having to do with safety. And if you're watching us and you want to know more about ATNS, www.atns.com is exactly where you should be going right now so that you get to know more. But I am not alone today. I'm with three wonderful ladies, and of course, I am the rose amongst the thorns. Those are the thorns, I am the rose, and we're going to get into this lovely conversation. Excited about it. On my immediate left is Miss Gugum Tetra, who sits there as a technical engineer, right? And we're going to get to know more about what she does. On the center, we've got Miriam Rabudiba, who is a target generating officer. We're going to learn more about what they do in there. And on the far right, we've got Zandile Sokacha, who is the only blonde one in the room, who is actually an air traffic controller. She's going to tell us more about what they do there. So grab a seat, grab a cup of coffee, sit with us, and let's tell you more about what ATNS does. Excited to have you with us, and I'm sure you're going to be excited to have us in your living room right there. So yeah, let's get the conversation going. I'm going to just, be excited about the fact that I'm the only man in the room. That's the first place I want to start with. And also just to dig into where you guys come from. I think it's important to get the guys that are listening to us at home to understand where do you come from? What are you doing now currently? You don't have to go into too many details. We'll just get into that. So I'm going to start with Zandi as well. Where do you come from? What do you do?
Hi everyone, thank you TJ. As he just said, I am Zandile Sokacha from Soweto, Zola to be specific. I'm an air traffic controller and area controller at ATNS. I've been with ATNS for 18 years now.
Wow.
And that is just me in a nutshell.
Wow, okay, we can cut you as part of the furniture at some point, eh? And Miriam, what do you do? Where do you come from?
Hi, my name is Miriam Rabudiwa. I'm from Atteridgeville. I'm a target generating operator. I've been working for ATNS for 10 years. Before joining the company, I was in the South African Navy for 5 years.
Wow, okay. So the path, we're going to hear more about the path of how you got to ATNS shortly as well. Gugu, you want to tell us a bit more about yourself?
Hi, TJ. I'm Gugu Mtetwa, engineering technician, ATNS or Tambo. I'm from a small town called Tulamash. It's in Bushbuck Ridge, Mpumalanga. Studied at DUT. I was studying electronic engineering, majoring in computer systems. Currently hold a Bachelor of Technology in Electronic Engineering, Computer Systems. So I've been in the company, I can say 11 years, because I started off with the learnership. So it was a year of learnership and then 10 years, 9 years, it's 10, as an engineering technician.
We just stick with you, Gugu. And just to understand, how did you encounter ATNS? Where did this whole journey with ATNS start for you?
The journey with ATNS, for me, it actually started back in varsity, DUT. ATNS came, they were recruiting. So our department chose certain people to come for interviews. So we informed that you have an interview tomorrow, ATNS is coming. What is ATNS? Went to the computer lab, ATNS, air traffic. I'm like, air traffic, okay. I'm thinking, like traffic, I'm thinking EMPD. So what do they do? Do they airplanes in the sky? What happens? So did my research, went for the interviews. Our interview was very practical. So they came there. It was actually the instructors from the Aviation Training Academy who were doing the interview. So there was all this equipment, you don't even know what it is. So you just have to open your eyes and just be there, be visible, try and answer as much questions as you can. So that is where it actually all started for me. And then I was selected to do the learnership, which was a 12 months program. The learnership is actually a requirement for us. With the engineering, it's a requirement. Before you can actually get your diploma and graduate, you need to undergo a training for a period of 12 months. It's divided in 6 months each. So you do that training. They call it practical work experience. So you do that training and then they'll give you your diploma afterwards. So I did mine at the Aviation Training Academy. It was the first week was actually overwhelming because you are told you have so many courses, and at the end of each course there's an exam, and it's 70%. We used to 50% from the varsity. But that year was exciting for me. I learned a lot about aviation. I knew nothing about aviation.
Sure.
The first time I got on a plane, it was ATNS when I had to start my learnership. They
Yeah.
booked a plane. Everything was just exciting to get to learn and understand and know actually what happens in the background when we just see an aircraft flying over our houses. Yeah, so.
No, hold the thought. I think we're gonna try and really dig into those details of, especially that first year you're talking about, so that we can understand what are the nitty-gritties for a young lady all the way from Tula Mahashe to come and sit in a room and learn about planes as well. And Miriam, I mean, talking about your experience with ATNS, where did you encounter ATNS? How did that happen?
Okay, I was on duty in the Navy, night shift. I decided, let me save the net. Then I checked ATNS, and then I saw the advertisement for TGO.
Yeah.
And I was saying, okay, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I told myself, no, let me just apply. If I get through, I will know a lot about aviation inside the company. So I applied and I was shortlisted.
And here we are.
Yes.
I think it's such a beautiful story for both of you as well, because then that simply means you're not supposed to arrive perfect. You're not supposed to arrive complete, but you can actually join the journey and be part of it and enjoy learning and growing as well. But we're going to get into the details of TGO. It sounds like something like a rap name, TGO. But it's a good name. We're going to get into that and listen to that. Zandi, the furniture in the room. What was the encounter with ATNS? How did that go?
So for me, it was a 21-year-old girl from Soweto at varsity. I came home for June holidays, lost my dad.
Sure.
Buried my dad on a Sunday. The next day, a friend of mine calls and says, I know you won't be able to go back to school, but my company is hiring. I did not even know what company he worked for.
Sure.
I had not even seen an aeroplane in my life. And he said to me, psychometric test on Thursday. Then there were no link or this is how you apply. Just rock up, bring your CV, you'll be fine, man. I went, I wrote the psychometric tests, and then I packed my bags again, went back to university. And then I got the call, you must come back for interviews. And when I came for my psychometrics, I had not even seen an aeroplane in my life.
Sure.
I knew nothing about how aeroplanes work.
Yeah.
But it's a decision that a 21-year-old had to make at that time, which was the best decision I ever made in my life. And I wrote the psychometrics and I was successful. I was called in for an interview. And you need to understand you're coming to an interview with your peers that were not previously disadvantaged.
Yeah.
If I may put it in terms that one would understand, my English was raw, if I may put it that way.
Yeah.
So it was a big challenge for me, and I took it upon myself that I was going to work hard. And we passed that stage, we went for medicals, and then we joined ATNS, we were put into the lodge, and that is my journey.
So when you talk about ending up in a lodge, Zandi, what does that mean? What is a lodge? What happens there?
So after being successful with the whole application of become a trainee ATC within ATNS, part of the bursary program is that you get booked into a lodge, because I think they understood that if we stay at home, the grounds were not going to be even, because we were from different backgrounds. So that sort of leveled off the grounds for all of us. We got the same treatment. It was, for most of us, our first experience of what we call a soft life today.
Sure.
So everything was covered for you.
Yeah.
The only thing you were supposed to do is study and eat. So for the first 21 weeks of core content, you're going to be booked at the lodge. You get transport from the lodge to the Aviation Training Academy, which is based in Bonero Park, where ATNS Academy is. So that is how the journey starts. And that only happens to you once in your life within ATNS. But unfortunately, at the time when you're living the soft life, nobody tells you that the next time you have this, you're going to pay.
Sure. I think somebody actually highlighted me that part of what happens there is that your laundry gets done for you. Is that true?
Yeah. All you do, literally, is study, eat, go to school, come back, study, eat, chat with your friends. So it's sort of equalized the grounds.
We can definitely call this, if you are lazy to do your laundry, apply at ATNS. You'll be sorted. But coming back to you, Zandi, and in terms of also just being part of ATNS from that young age and journeying from, the tragedy that happened and coming to this position that you are in right now. I want to deal with your training, journey within that 21 weeks. How was the 21 weeks as you were in the Aviation Training Academy?
That period was intense. I was from varsity, so I was used to books that thick.
Yeah.
And in my group, there were other kids, if I may put it, or teenagers that were straight from school.
Yeah.
So when you look at a book as thick as a textbook that you had in matric and you were told we're only going to do this over 2 weeks, and you thought it's a joke, right? And no, it was not. You were supposed to finish that book. The 21 weeks, it basically covers all the basics of air traffic control. If you miss learning during that period, it might basically affect you throughout your aviation life. So it was intense, though it was a beautiful experience. You got to meet peers from different provinces, though English was our language for all of us, but you got to meet somebody from Venda. I mean, you met pupils that were from private schools, Kasi schools, the Bundus, rural areas. But at that time, you had to understand it is not about where you come from. It is about what you're doing for yourself now and where you want to be in future.
Sure. And I'm sure I'm going to wrap up this part of the journey shortly. I'm sure the discipline that was required in that 21 weeks was massive. You want to talk to us about that a bit?
To a certain extent, if I may, for lack of a better word, it was unfair for somebody at that age because you were too young to understand, but the industry on its own, it is so regulated. You are so expected to behave a certain way, though in your head you think you're still young, but only now you look back and understand. So it's a very high level of discipline that is required because nobody's going to go to your lodge and check whether you're studying or not. Nobody's going to come to your house and check whether you're doing what you were supposed to do. You were on your own, but it was a stage of your life where you had just chosen that this is the journey. I want to be an aviation enthusiast, and I chose it for myself, and I have to work hard.
Sure, we're going to dig more into air traffic control and what entails in the day and the work as well, but I think the key is just the discipline to get where you want to get. Being introduced into this whole world of planes and, functions and all these things. How was that experience for you personally to say, look, this is what I'm learning?
So it was very exciting because of, I didn't have any background of aviation.
Sure.
So starting to know the aviation, the rules and everything, the procedures, it was very exciting.
Sure. No, we're going to dig into what you guys do on a daily basis shortly. And I think it's going to be interesting to also see what you've grown to become as well from that experience and from that space as well. And Gugu, dealing with, coming from DUT, being handpicked and going through all the cycles. I want to go into the details of those 12 months you were talking about. The first 6 months, second 6 months. What was happening there? What happened there?
Throughout the whole 12 months, you are learning.
Yeah.
So you need to be somebody who's willing to learn like as much as you can because you get there with us since we are technical. So you'll be learning basically about all the instruments that are used for communications, navigations, and surveillance. And you know nothing. Even when they say communications, you like, what's happening there? So they take you through all of that and you're like, wow. Like when I see a plane, I didn't even realize there's a lot that's happening and there's a lot of equipment that is involved. So it was a lot to take in at first, but you get to adjust, you learn. And the more you learn, it's like, it's exciting because you knew nothing about it. And the more I started to learn and understand, I was like, wow, this is actually exciting. I was happy to have been chosen to be part of ATNS because when you're in tertiary, you're studying, you're only thinking I'm doing computer systems, thinking I want to work for Vodacom, Dimension Data. So to actually be part of aviation, for me, it was very, very exciting.
Sure.
I enjoyed it a lot. I still enjoy it.
So ATNS, this is why we're here. And I think it's important to know what ATNS is. Who's ATNS? What do you guys do? So I'll start with Google. Who is ATNS? What is ATNS?
ATNS is a company, air traffic and navigation services. So basically, we control aeroplanes in that department. We've got the people who actually communicate with the pilots and they tell them where they need to go, which direction, which route. That would be your air traffic controllers. They do all of that.
Okay. And Miriam, what is ATNS?
I think Google covered a lot of things. Management of aircrafts. Yes, so I think the most people who have the most role, I will say it's the air traffic controllers.
Yeah, and you're possibly passing us on to Zandi now so that you can answer what is ATNS. Zandi, what is ATNS?
So ATNS is Air Traffic and Navigation Services, as Gugu has already alluded to that. And basically, we make sure that aeroplanes are separated in the air. It's the company that makes sure that aeroplanes do not collide. And we cover about 10% of the global airspace. So it's the atmosphere above South Africa as a country inland, and we also cover our oceanic airspace. So as much as the core business of Air Traffic and Navigation Services is controlling aeroplanes, we've got supporting departments that play very critical role in making sure that safety is our number one value.
That makes sense. It prevents you from sitting in a control position with a spanner on your side.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier. Take me to your work day. I really want to know what happens there. And I think, Google, we're going to start with you. What happens in your day? Just take me through your day.
Okay, what happens in my day is I need to ensure that our core business is air traffic controlling. So I need to make sure that the equipment that is going to be utilized by the air traffic controller to communicate with the pilots, the navigational aids that are going to be used by the aircraft to navigate throughout, and the surveillance equipment is working in proper condition, serviceable for the ATCs to use.
Sure. So your day starts literally by getting in, making sure equipments are working.
Getting in, making sure equipments are working. If there's anything that needs to be repaired, I need to be there.
Yeah. So and the day in your, at some time in your day, Miriam, how does that go? Where do you start the day? How does it go?
So basically, we're providing continuation training, remedial training, pre-JUL and student training for the air traffic controllers. So before anything, we have to make sure that we capture and test the ICAO flight plan in the system so that we can populate exercises. When the ATCs come to the building, the simulator, then we can provide the service to them.
So it's all just about literally making sure that the simulator is serviceable, the simulator is producing the results it's supposed to produce.
Yes, and to maintaining the air traffic controller skills.
Sure. Let's get to the most coffee drinkers, I assume, apparently, rumor has it. Do you really sweat that much? Is it really that stressful? What's your day like?
I'll speak on behalf of all three disciplines of air traffic control because that is who I represent. So for an air traffic controller, our day is departing, landing, and making sure that aircraft fly safely, orderly, and expeditious. And one would ask, do you have freeways in the air? You can't see them, but when you're on radar, we can see them. And aeroplanes also know exactly where to fly. So if you had to come into the radar room and see what I'm looking at, you will see aeroplanes in a straight line and flying in an orderly manner. So that's a typical day of an ATC. We wear a headset and we just provide safe air traffic control service.
So you look like a DJ, but just DJing planes.
Yes.
Turning the tables.
One said, you guys play a game. Sometimes it does feel like it, except for this game has got people's lives.
No, awesome. I think your description of your day has just really also enhanced to us that your day can't be your day without this involvement, that involvement. Every single one of us is important in what we do. So when we're there joining ATNS, being part of this great, awesome blue and white family, what qualities do you need to be part of ATNS, Google? What would you say somebody must have in them?
You need to be somebody who's aware of the environment that you are in, because safety is key. We have to make sure we're dealing with people's lives. So you need to be somebody who's very much aware of your surroundings and what happens around you.
Sure. And Miriam, would you like to add something as a characteristic that one should have?
Yes, I will say active mind.
Sure.
And communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
and team player,
Yes.
confident, and multitasking.
Sure. That sounds like a lot, but we'll take it. And Zandi, what would you say the qualities would be that what one would need?
For us, it starts with your personality. You need to be assertive.
Yeah.
You do not want to be an ATC that pilot can walk all over. You need to make a decision, stick to it. You need to be calm.
Yeah.
You need to recover from your own mistakes. Look, mistakes are not the same, but sometimes you can continue working and realize, I climbed this one on, let me descend him now. It should not be picked up from your voice. Your voice shouldn't shake after making a mistake. You need to be confident. You need to be a special reasoner. You need to be a team worker. Emotional intelligence, because sometimes as much as we are not friends, I still need to be friendly with you because we are a team here.
Yeah.
Your communication skills have to be spot on.
Sure.
You need to be willing to serve people because that's what we do.
Sure. Guys, if you don't have that, get it. You need it to be part of a good company like ATNS. What's exciting about your job? What's that one thing that wakes you up every morning to go to work?
What excites me about my job is that I'm in an industry which ATNS, most people, what I do, they've never heard about it before. Yeah. And it's really exciting to be able to, I've gained all this knowledge and I'm able to share it with other people. So what excites me, it's the environment on its own.
Yeah.
Being an employee it's unique,
Yeah.
it's exciting and just mind-blowing.
Sure. And Miriam, what excites you about being part of ATNS and the job that you do?
I will say it's challenging and working under pressure,
Yeah.
and to ensure that your clients are satisfied at the end of the day. I know sometimes we deal with the most difficult clients.
Yeah.
You have to be calm and make sure that if the client is satisfied, I'm satisfied.
Sure. And the difficult client is the one sitting right next to you. What satisfies you about your job, Zandi?
I think for me, it's the fact that OR Tambo International Airport lands and departs about 53 to 60 aircraft an hour.
Sure.
And if I'm at work for 5 hours, the minute I walk out, I look back at the runway and go, I landed and departed all of those airplanes. And for the fact that when I visit my doctor and tell him what I do, and for me, being a doctor is the wowest thing ever, my doctor puts everything down and asks me to tell me more about what you do.
Why is safety such a big thing for you guys as engineers? Gugu?
For us, it is a very, very big thing because if an ATC was to make a mistake, because they couldn't see the aircraft on the radar screen, or she was communicating with the pilot and the pilot couldn't hear what instructions she was handing over.
Yeah.
So it's very serious because it is going to come back to a point, because if something happens, let's say maybe we have a total failure of a system, it needs to be investigated. The reports need to be written as to what really happened, what was the cause of that. So that is why we don't only do maintenance in a sense of repair.
Yeah.
We also do preventative to prevent and make sure that we do not end up with cases where we have a system failure because we didn't pick it up, that the parameters were not within limits.
Sure. That makes sense. And Zandi, safety, how does it fit into the whole spectrum of what you do?
For us, safety comes in when you think about the fact that if I have 15 airplanes on frequency, that could be 300 times 15 lives.
Sure.
And in that scenario, safety has to be my number one value. And when I say safety is my number one value, not only at work, because I don't think it's possible for somebody to have a certain value that they only embed at work, but when they get outside, they are careless. So safety is us.
Sure. We must embody safety and
We have
make
to
it
embody safety.
part of our lives. Have you had a day where you were called out very early in the morning or in the middle of the night?
All the time.
Hook me up with the story around that. What happened?
It happens all the time. I remember this other time I had just started working shift.
Yeah.
So after the learnership, ATNS has a lot of room to grow.
Yeah.
If you're a person who's willing to learn, there is room for you to grow.
Yeah.
So I started off with the learnership as a trainee, and then I started off as a junior engineering technician, and then I had to go through certain tests on all the equipment to make sure that I am ready to go solo and all of that. So this other time I had just just qualified to work solo. Sure. So I was on call out. It was raining cats and dogs.
Solo just means to work alone, right?
You are alone. You've got no support. Okay. You are alone at the station. So you are responsible. If anything goes wrong, it's all on you. You can't say that I can't do this because no, you there. You are responsible. It was raining. I had to go to the airfield. Sure. With all that rain and all those lights, it was like Christmas lights flashing everywhere, the puppy lights, the runway lights. But you have to, you can't just go in a panic mode. There's no room for that. Sure. You need to be that girl, like be that person, be brave, go out there. You need to have your troubleshooting skills on point, problem solving. You can't get there and I don't know what to do. There's no room for that. The ATCs are waiting. They want to know, when is the system going to be up? Yeah. So, it's a lot, but it's exciting.
So, Zandi, you spoke about being, in the lodge and staying, being treated with a soft life and all that stuff as an ATC bursar. And I just want to go into the intricacies of how that journey was in terms of, you landed there. Are there any prerequisites that you were supposed to meet before you got in there?
Okay, so firstly, you need to be a South African citizen. Yeah. You need to be 18 years of age by the time the bursary commences. Yeah. So basically, you can apply when you're 17 years, 11 months, if that program will start after you turned 18. Yeah. And the third one is that you need standard grade C in maths or high grade D. That is my age maths. Yeah, so in today's term, you need pure maths, level 4. Yeah. And the last one is that you need to be medically fit.
So we're basically dealing now with and I'm going to come to all of us as well in a bit. We're basically now dealing with decisions that you're supposed to make now that would influence your opportunity to be able to enter into this type of a space when it comes to the career.
Yes, which becomes a very important part of a child's life and as a parent, because sometimes it's too late. When your child is already doing history and any other subject and they want to be an ATC, it is not impossible. So that is why we need to speak to our young ones, maybe grade 8 or earlier, about what subjects they need to take for a particular career stream.
Yeah, and as a TGO sitting in that space, I'm basically believing from what Zandi has said that, you're flying 15 planes at a time, you're talking to them, and mathematics should play some part in that. Tell us a bit more about that.
There are a lot of things that we deal about, like the flight level, the headings, that's numbers. Yeah. So you must know your pure maths. Yeah. So they will tell you to reduce speed or 10 degrees to the left or right. Sure. You just have to think.
And implement it, Yes. Sure, I think that's important. And for you, Gugu, what were the prerequisites? What is the decision that young little girl needs to make about her subjects tomorrow that will help her?
Okay, when they start choosing the subjects, that's we did it in grade 9. Yeah. You need pure maths. You need pure maths, and then you need physical sciences. And then you need to go to a university of technology and you'd have to study in an engineering field. It can either be electrical engineering, telecommunications, instrumentation, processing, or computer systems. Yeah. Yes.
So when you speak about in-service training, please take us into the nitty-gritties of what happens there, Gugu, in in-service training.
Okay, in-service training, it's actually a requirement by the university before they can award you a diploma. So what happens there in ATNS is called a learnership. So in-service training is practical work experience that you need to undergo. So what happens there within the 12 months, you're going to be required to write reports. It's divided into 6 months each. So it's called P1 and P2. You write reports, you submit them to the institution where you're studying. And when you've completed that, within ATNS, if there are vacancies available, they will advertise, they will interview, and you'll be placed to one of the 21 airports that we have.
Zandi, please enlighten us on what are the 3 phases that one journeys in the ATC bursary program.
Okay, so the first phase is core content course, which is 21 weeks. Of theory training. So you are in class every day. During that period, ATNS books you into the lodge. You get a stipend. you get transported to and from the lodge to the aviation.
You mean they pay me to study?
Sorta.
I'm going to apply now. Yeah.
So you get transport from the lodge to the Aviation Training Academy in Bunaro Park during that period. And then once you successfully complete that period, you move on to the ATS rating course, which is 4 weeks. And after the ATS rating course, you get placed at one of our 21 airports in the country where you'll be doing your validation training.
Yeah.
So validation training is a combination of theory training plus on-the-job training. That is what we call it, or OJTI, on-the-job training instruction. And even the duration of on-the-job training instruction varies from station to station. Some airports are busier than others. But yeah, it depends on where you go. So those are the 3 phases of training. So once you finish the ATS rating course, the stipend stops and you start earning a salary. And then you are out of the lodge, you on your own because now you can afford.
So as we're closing up, I think for me, it's just to really hit an inspiration and a last word to somebody sitting at home. Some are unemployed, some have just been through a tragedy, they don't know what to do next, the state of unemployment in the country, and to encourage me to, take that step, be part of ATNS. What would you say to that person? I'll start with you, Gugu.
So if you want to get into where I am now, which is engineering, you need to make the right decisions when you are still younger. You can't now come in grade 12 and say, I want to start engineering. It's already too late. Yeah. So gather up information before you choose your subjects. See which career choice you would like to be part of. And then when you are there and you are given that opportunity, don't belittle yourself and think that because I'm from this kind of background, I won't be able to do it because this and that. Nothing should be standing in your way. You must just go for it. The sky is the limit. Don't limit yourself.
Sure. And Miriam, what would you say?
I will say, don't undermine yourself.
Yes.
So if you feel like this is what you want, make research and go for it.
And Zandi?
Life is too short for you not to pursue your dreams. You don't have to be what everyone thinks you should be. Be whatever you dream of. And if you put enough hard work, passion, and dedication, you can be whatever you want to be.
Sure. I think more than anything for me, guys, thank you for encouraging me to actually believe that anything that we put our minds to is very possible. And your stories are so inspiring to sit back and realize that where we come from and where we are right now, there's a whole lot of things that have changed. Thank you so much to the ladies that were with us as we've come to the end of our conversation today. Thank you so much for being with us, guys. Gugu, Miriam, and Zandile, thank you for the insights and for telling us more about what ATNS is all about. And if you are at home, you want to know more about ATNS, you want to know where to go, how to go, www.atns.com is exactly where you need to be punching right now on that browser. Send your application. Let's be part of the blue and white family and make the skies even much safer. I'll see you at the corridors of ATNS. Have a lovely one. Cheers.